Everybody, thank you so much for coming back to another week of The Mandalorian. We're here with Season 2, Episode 4, Chapter 12, The Siege. This time around, I knew after the events of the last episode, the way that it ended with them teasing Ahsoka Tano, we got to see Bo-Katan for the first time in live action. I had an idea, I had a feeling that, we weren't going to be able to see Ahsoka in the next episode. And something tells me we may not even see her for another episode. And yeah, in this episode, the Mandalorian ship, Din Djarin's ship, is all messed up. And man, talk about a hunk of junk. They always call the Millennium Falcon just a hunk of junk, or is always making jokes about it being like just a rundown ship. And man, has the Razor Crest become just a rundown ship in this show. However, at the end of this episode, that does turn around. But once again, you have a really, really great, beautiful episode of The Mandalorian. Visually, digital, and practical effects are just so well done in this show. And so I really enjoy the visuals of the show. The music is fantastic. Once again, you have great performances. And yeah, just on an overall level, how the show looks, how it feels, how it sounds, just great. Top notch every single episode, and this episode is no different. Not too long into the episode, the Mandalorian realizes that he's going to need some repairs on this ship, and decides to go back to Navarro, the planet from the first season that they spend a lot of time on. And we're reintroduced to the characters of Cara Dune and Greef Karga, played by Carl Weathers and Gina Carano. And speaking of Carl Weathers, he actually directed this episode, which was really cool. Really nice to see that he was able to direct an episode, especially one that he was starring in. And I just thoroughly really enjoyed this episode. A part of it felt like a side quest episode. Obviously we're slowly building up to those big moments that we're all excited to see. Maybe seeing a little bit more Bo-Katan, seeing a little bit more Boba Fett, and finally being able to see Ahsoka and seeing where this journey goes with the Mandalorian and the child. But what I liked about this episode is that though it kind of had this side quest kind of feel to it, there are these drizzlings of some bigger plot elements in there, and I really did thoroughly enjoy that. When they land on Navarro, as his ship is being worked on, he ends up working with Greef Karga and Gina Carano to go take out an Imperial base that was left over, and this is like the last base on Navarro to be taken out. And once they do this, they'll be able to kind of have the planet free of Imperials. And when they go there, they end up setting off this reactor for things to go wrong and everything to explode. There are some stormtroopers there. There's a lot of really great action in this episode. And yeah, then we find this cloning room. There's literally a room in there where there seems to be pods with different clones in there. And we only do really get a good look at one of them, and even that isn't really a great look. But we see one of them, and it kind of looks like Snoke a little bit. I could be putting a little bit of a fan theory element there. Obviously we have no idea what it is, but just based on the timeline and knowing the fact that Palpatine does survive, and it's not too much longer into the timeline that we would be getting Snoke and everything going on with Kylo Ren and all that jazz. I can't help but feel like they were cloning something or somebody to possibly become Snoke. I had the feeling that's kind of what I saw there, but that could just be a total fan theory, and I don't even know if they'll really touch on it further. But yeah, they end up finding a recording, a hologram from the Doctor from the first couple episodes of the first season, and one of the most notable things that people were talking about that character from the first season was that on his shoulder he had the same exact logo as the Kaminoan cloners in Attack of the Clones, and they don't really touch on that in the first season. That was just something that fans picked up on, and then I started seeing a bunch of posts going around about it. And we see a hologram message that he sent to Gideon, talking about some of their shortcomings as far as the cloning goes, and how they only were able to work with so much blood from the original sample or the donor. And that donor that they're talking about is the child. They do refer to the fact that because of the fact that the child was so small and they can only take so much blood from without killing him, they had to work with what they had, and obviously they're still struggling to clone whatever it is they're trying to clone. And so this episode ends with Gideon, and we see that he's got these different armor kind of things going on in this room that he's in. It looks pretty cool. I'm very curious to see what they do there. I was hoping they would show what he was looking at. He's in this room, and it seems like there's a bunch of armor in it. But yeah, they're definitely heavily hinting at Gideon being a bigger presence near the end of the season. So I am very curious to see where they take that. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Found it to be a fun, well-acted, good time with some great action and great effects. And I enjoyed that, though it felt like this nice side action set piece where, you have the Mandalorian working with these familiar characters, characters. There were a lot of drizzlings of really great big plot moments, learning about this cloning thing going on, confirming that that doctor from the first season is indeed part of some sort of cloning thing. Me thinking that may have something to do with Snoke, but that could just be an over-the-top fan theory. And then, yeah, now the Razor Crest is back up and running, and we found out at the end of the episode that one of the people who was working on their ship actually left a tracker in there, a beacon for the Imperials. So I'm very curious to see where they take that for the next couple episodes, especially since we know he's going to go see Ahsoka. So is he about to bring the Empire to Ahsoka? I'm definitely excited to see what this next episode has in store for us. Like I said, overall, visually, sound effects wise, the score, the performances, the look, I really thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and it was cool to know that Carl Weathers was able to direct this episode. Speaking of one thing that I noticed since he was a director, I noticed that there were a lot more of that traditional Star Wars swiping transitions. You know, we've seen them plenty of times throughout the course of The Mandalorian, but I noticed that there was a lot of them in between some of these shots. So I'm assuming that was a director choice by Carl Weathers, which, you know, didn't take me out of it. I love the little Star Wars, PowerPoint swipes. I just noticed that there felt to be a little bit more in this episode than some of the previous episodes. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. What are you guys looking forward to moving forward? What do you guys think about that whole cloning element of what they discovered? And another thing that ends up happening near the end of this episode is that we see that Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, is actually offered a position with the New Republic from the same pilot that helped Mandalorian as well as the Child and the Frog Lady get away from the Krykna spiders a couple episodes ago. So it was nice to see that guy again. From what I understand, he was actually a 501st Star Wars fan and actually got the ability to be in Star Wars, which is super awesome. I didn't know that when I saw him a few episodes ago, but I saw that within the last week or so, which I thought was really cool for him. It's cool to know that somebody who's playing a character on screen now for the New Republic is actually a Star Wars fan and part of probably the biggest Star Wars fan group. So yeah, really enjoyed this episode. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And what are your theories as far as the cloning element? Why do they want to use Baby Yoda? Do you think that has something to do with Snoke? What are those suits or those things that Moff Gideon were looking at the very end of the episode? I'm definitely curious to see where they take the rest of the show. Yeah, I have this idea that now the Mandalorian is going to screw with Ahsoka's life by bringing the Empire. So definitely looking forward to seeing what the next episode has in store for us. Leave your comments down below. Do you like this episode? Do you not like this episode? Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you guys have not already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.